For 10 years, I built the perfect revenge plan as his secretary. Then my little brother walked into his office calling him mentor. And everything I worked for turned into a weapon aimed at my own blood. Amina Ndiaye smoothed the lapels of her charcoal blazer, a habit she'd perfected over a decade of lying. She stood outside Taemin Yu's corner office on the 43rd floor of Hanseong Group headquarters, her reflection sharp in the glass doors. Deep brown skin, sleek low bun, minimal gold jewelry. The most composed person in every room. The most dangerous. Taemin's voice filtered through the door. Amina SSE, do you have the Daewon contracts? She entered without knocking. On your desk. I've flagged the liability clauses in red. Taemin looked up, monolid eyes creased with permanent guilt he couldn't name. His tie was already loosened, though it was barely 10 a.m. What would I do without you? He smiled, the genuine one he reserved for her alone. You'd survive, Amina thought. That's the problem. She'd spent a decade ensuring his survival, building his trust brick by brick. Every act of loyalty was construction material for the prison she'd one day lock him inside. The Singapore meeting is at 2. I've prepared the files. You're incredible. Taemin rubbed his neck. The gesture that meant guilt was surfacing. Seriously. If he knew what she kept in the Wolof coded ledger, hidden in her Uido co-working space, he'd understand exactly how incredible she was. 10 years of documentation, predatory contracts, falsified reports, the paper trail connecting his signature to her father's collapse. Evidence that would reduce Hanseong Group to rubble. Her phone buzzed. Malik. Hyung bought me lunch today. He's teaching me about international arbitration. I think I'm finally getting good at this. Hyung. Her 24-year-old brother called Taemin Yu Hyung with the reverence he'd once reserved for their father, before the debt collectors came, before shame ate Papa alive from the inside. Amina's fingers tightened around her phone. The screen cracked, a hairline fracture across Malik's smiling profile picture. Everything okay? Taemin watched her with concerned expression that made her sick with confused rage. Fine. She smoothed her lapels again. Liar. I need to prep for the meeting. Actually, before you go, Taemin's smile was proud, almost paternal. Your brother, Malik, he's doing exceptional work. I'm thinking of recommending him for the International Law Training Program in Geneva next year. The world tilted. Geneva, the program that launched careers, that transformed junior analysts into senior counsel. That's generous. He reminds me of, Taemin paused, that guilty neck rub again. Someone I wish I'd been. Someone who works for what he gets, instead of inheriting it. He reminds you of the son of the man you destroyed, Amina thought. He is literally that son, and you're too blind to see it. She'd kept Malik away from Hanseong Group for years, paying for his university with 3 jobs. But Malik had applied in secret. When he'd gotten the position, she'd nearly destroyed her own revenge plan trying to get him transferred. Instead, Taemin had taken interest in the bright young Senegalese analyst, mentored him, believed in him, made him family. I should get to work. Amina fled before her composure shattered. In the women's bathroom, she locked herself in a stall and switched to Wolof, whispering, Yalamangi le dom, endaxlan ngama wardefe. God help me. What am I supposed to do? If you've ever felt trapped between 2 impossible choices, you already know how this story ends. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're the kind of person who stays to see how far someone will go for revenge, or for family, or for the truth that lives in the space between them. The text came at 6:30. Nuna, coming home in 20 minutes. Bringing someone special for dinner. Yama's thieboudienne will blow his mind. 3 exclamation points. Malik only used 3 when overriding her objections before she could voice them. Amina's hands went cold. Their Itaewon one room was sacred space, the only place she allowed herself to be Senegalese instead of the polished corporate weapon she'd forged. The walls held photos of Papa in his Dakar warehouse, surrounded by fabric bolts in colors that sang. Before Hanseong Group, before shame. She called Malik. Voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. 20 minutes to get across Seoul, to warn her mother, to hide the evidence of who they'd been before Korea swallowed them whole. She burst through the apartment door at 6:52. Her mother, Kadi, was in the kitchen, thieboudienne already plated, the smell of home so powerful it was violence. Malek de Fainjar? Why is Malik bringing a guest? I don't know, Maman. Amina switched to Wolof. Bu feke nijek na chi bir, if you recognize him. The door opened. Malek entered first. Hanseong Group badge clipped proudly to his backpack. Behind him, Taemin Yu in casual clothes, dark jeans, simple sweater, hair slightly mussed. He looked younger, human, mortal. Nuna, this is Director Yu. Jung, this is my sister Amina, and my mother. Taemin's eyes met hers. For one terrible second she saw surprise flicker, seeing his perfect secretary in worn house clothes, hair down, armor stripped away. Then his corporate smile activated, and he bowed. Thank you for welcoming me. Malik speaks of you both constantly. Kadi's hands trembled. She stared at Taemin with the intensity of someone placing a face from a nightmare. Amina moved to her mother's side, her hand finding Kadi's wrist. Warning or comfort, she didn't know. Please sit. Yama made thieboudienne. Very traditional. I've never had Senegalese food. Taemin settled at their low table, the one Papa had built. Thank you for this. Malik beamed. Hyung's been teaching me about due diligence in cross-border mergers. He says I have instinct for spotting contract vulnerabilities. Malik! Amina's voice was sharp. Help me serve. In the kitchen, she gripped his shoulder. Lan Lazalat? What were you thinking? I thought you'd be happy. You always say I should network. Director Yu is the best thing that's happened to my career. You should have asked first. You would have said no. His eyes challenged her. You always say no. To everything. You want me to stay small and safe and grateful. The truth hit like a fist. Amina grabbed the thieboudienne platter, hands steady through control, learned through repetition, through necessity, through burying everything that made her human. She placed the dish before Taemin. The same hands that had signed contract amendments trapping her father in impossible debt now reached for the communal plate. This looks incredible. Kadi was still in the doorway. Amina felt her mother's gaze burning. Yama, come sit. Malik's voice was bright. Kadi moved like a woman walking underwater. She sat across from Taemin and stared while he took his first bite. This is amazing. The fish is so tender. What's in this sauce? You like it? Kadi's Korean was broken but clear. You like food from people you destroy? The apartment became a vacuum. Iyama, what are you? Deet, be quiet. Kadi's eyes never left Taemin. This man, his family, they killed your father, not with knife, with paper, with signature. Taemin went pale. His chopsticks clattered. He looked at Kadi, then Amina, and she watched the pieces assemble. The Ndiaye name, the photos, the Dakar warehouse, the timeline matching the contract from 10 years ago. Taemin's voice broke. The Ndiaye Textile Company. That was my husband. Kadi stood. Good man. Proud man. You make him beggar. You make him shame. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just shows you the walls of your prison were always there. You'd just learn to stop seeing them. Malik shot to his feet. Iama, what are you talking about? What textile company? Taemin stared at Amina with the expression of a man watching his world reconfigure. You're his daughter. You've been his daughter this entire time. Nuna, Malik's voice cracked. He switched to Wolof. And Dax Degla? Is it true? Taemin stood slowly, hands raised. I found your father's name in old records 2 years ago. When Malik listed Ndiaye as emergency contact, He stopped, face crumpling. I knew. I've known for 2 years and didn't say anything because I was a coward. You knew? Amina's voice came out in Wolof, then switched to Korean sharp as knives. You knew who I was, and let me keep serving you, covering for you, while you played benevolent mentor to my brother? I didn't know what to say. How do you apologize for destroying someone's family? You don't. Amina moved between him and her mother. You don't get to apologize. You signed those amendments without reading them. You trusted your father's business is business philosophy, and my father paid for your laziness with everything. Malik grabbed her arm. What contract? What amendments? Nuna, why didn't you tell me? To protect you. Protect me from what? Malik's eyes were wild. From the truth? From knowing the man mentoring me is what? Some villain? That you've been planning? What have you been planning? The question hung like smoke. Amina felt Taemin watching, felt her mother's expectant silence, felt the weight of the Wolof ledger hidden across the city. Tell him, Kadi spoke in Wolof. Zalat nalunga def. He should know what you've done. Speak Korean, Malik demanded, so I can understand what's happening in my own family. Amina felt her control fracturing. She smoothed her lapels, but she wasn't wearing her blazer, so her hands just pressed against her worn t-shirt, empty and absurd. Your father, our father, had an import business, a good contract with a Korean textile manufacturer. But Hanseong Group wanted that manufacturer, so she looked at Taemin. So you added amendment clauses, making it impossible for Papa to meet delivery schedules. Then you sued him for breach. He lost everything. The warehouse, inventory, reputation. Debt collectors called at midnight. Maman stopped sleeping. Papa stopped smiling. Papa killed himself, Kadi added in broken Korean. Not body, but spirit. He become empty man. Malik staggered backward to the wall, next to the photo of the man they described. Young did this? Director Yu did this? I signed the documents. Taemin's voice was hollow. I was 24. My father put them in front of me and said it was standard practice. I didn't read them. I didn't ask questions. I just trusted him. And your father paid for my cowardice. So what? Malik turned on Amina. You've been working for him for 10 years, getting close? Were you ever going to tell me, or was I just another piece on your chessboard? I was protecting you. By lying. By letting me call him young? Understanding crashed across his face. The ledger. That ledger in your desk at the co-working space. I found it 2 months ago. The room tilted. You found? I'm a legal analyst, Nuna. You think I can't recognize evidence? Even in Wolof? Malik's hands shook. I've been decoding it. Contract copies, meeting notes, financial trails. You've been building a case against Hanseong Group. Against him. He pointed at Taemin. You've been planning to destroy the company. Taman's sharp breath confirmed he hadn't known. His eyes found Amina's. Is that true? She could lie, or she could tell the truth and watch everything burn. Yes. The word came in Wolof, then Korean. Yes. Every day for 10 years, I've documented every questionable contract, every falsified report, every shortcut your father taught you. I made myself indispensable so you'd trust me with files no secretary should see. I was going to wait until I had everything, until the case was airtight, then bring Hanseong Group to its knees. And me? Malik's voice broke. Where was I in this plan? Safe. You were supposed to be safe. I never wanted you near Hanseong. When you got the job, I tried to get you transferred. You tried to sabotage my career? Malik's laugh was ugly. Of course. Because I'm just your project, right? Your little brother who can't make his own decisions. That's not. It is. Do you know what I've been doing for 2 months? Since I found that ledger? Protecting you. I've been terrified you were planning something catastrophic, but I didn't confront you because I thought maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe my sister who raised me, who worked 3 jobs for me, wouldn't lie to me for a decade. Taman moved toward the door. I should go. This is... Don't. The word came from Amina. Everyone stared. Don't leave. You don't get to walk away from this. What do you want from me? Taman's eyes were red-rimmed. You want me to say I'm sorry? I'm sorry. Turn myself in? I'll do it. Burn down everything my family built? Tell me what you want, Amina. What did she want? 10 years ago, she'd known his destruction, humiliation, understanding of what it felt like to lose everything. But standing here with her brother's betrayed face and her mother's tired rage and Taman's genuine anguish, she didn't know anymore. Maybe revenge doesn't have to be loud to leave a mark. Sometimes the quietest moments are the ones that change everything. The ones that make you realize you've been fighting the wrong battle all along. But knowing that doesn't make the choice any easier. The emergency board meeting was called 48 hours after the dinner that destroyed everything. Amina hadn't slept. Malik had moved out that night, crashing with a friend. He wouldn't answer her calls. Taman had sent one text. I'm telling the board everything. You deserve justice, even if you hate me. She'd typed and deleted 17 responses before settling on silence. Now she sat in the Hanseong boardroom on the 45th floor, surrounded by men in expensive suits who looked at her like a problem to solve. Taman sat at the far end, his tie perfectly straight. Armor for whatever confession he planned. Before he could speak, the door opened. So-min Kang entered in pastel blouse and A-line skirt, carrying a tablet and wearing the smile that never reached her eyes. I apologize for the interruption, but I have information the board needs before Director Yu speaks. Chairman Yu sat at the head like a king on a throne. This is highly irregular, Ms. Kang. Yes, Chairman, but necessary. So-min's eyes found Amina's. This concerns industrial espionage within our company. The word landed like a grenade. Every board member straightened. Amina's hands moved to smooth her blazer lapels. So-min tapped her tablet, and the wall screen illuminated with Amina's Wolof ledger. Photographed, translated, annotated. 10 years of revenge planning in PowerPoint format. For the past decade, Secretary Ndiaye has systematically collected confidential documents, recorded private conversations, and built a case to destroy Hanseong Group. This ledger, written in Wolof to avoid detection, contains evidence she planned to leak to regulatory authorities and media. Murmurs rippled through the board. How did you get that? Taman's voice cut through. sharp and dangerous. Soman's smile widened. I've been monitoring concerning behavior for months. As someone who cares about this company's welfare, I felt obligated to investigate. She clicked to a photo of Amina at the co-working space. I installed a camera in her rental workspace, legal, as the space is public adjacent. You've been stalking her? Taman stood, chair skidding backward. I've been protecting this company from a vengeful employee manipulating you. But there's more. The next slide showed Malik's employee badge, then access logs. Secretary Ndiaye's brother has been using Director Yu's authorization codes to access restricted files after hours. We believe the siblings have been working together. That's a lie. Amina's voice was steady. Malik knows nothing about this. Really? Somin clicked again. Audio played. Malik's voice slurred with alcohol. My sister has control issues. She thinks she needs to manage every aspect of my life. I don't even know what she's doing half the time, but I know it's something obsessive. She keeps this weird journal. The recording was from the team dinner months ago when Malik had drunk too much soju. Soman had weaponized his pain. That doesn't prove anything, Taman said. Perhaps not alone. But combined with forged documents we found in Malik Ndiaye's desk, documents implicating him in falsifying contract amendments to frame Director Yu, it paints a clear picture of conspiracy. Amina's heart stopped. You planted those documents. Can you prove that Secretary Ndiaye? Chairman Yu's voice was silk over steel. Or are you making accusations because you've been caught? The trap closed like a fist. Somin had built a narrative where Amina was the villain and Malik her accomplice. Here's what I propose, Chairman Yu continued. We can handle this quietly. No police, no scandal. But someone must take responsibility. Somin clicked to a new slide. Option A. Malik Ndiaye accepts full responsibility for industrial espionage. Secretary Ndiaye retains her position under probation. Case closed. Option B. Secretary Ndiaye confesses to a decade-long vendetta. Both siblings face criminal charges and deportation. Company pursues maximum penalties. You have 30 seconds to choose. Chairman Yu checked his watch. After that, we decide for you. The boardroom became a vacuum. Amina felt 10 years collapsing into this moment. If she chose option A, Malik would be arrested for crimes he didn't commit. Deported, blacklisted, career destroyed. But she would stay. She could keep fighting, could finish what she started. Malik would hate her forever. Her mother would never speak to her, but she would win, eventually. If she chose option B, she would lose everything immediately. Her visa, freedom, revenge. But Malik would be safe. The truth would be public. Taman would finally confront what his signature had done. And maybe Papa's memory would be honored by her courage instead of stained by her cowardice. 20 seconds. Amina looked at the photo of her ledger, 10 years reduced to evidence of obsession. She thought about Papa in his Dakar warehouse, smiling among his fabrics. She thought about the man he'd become after Hanseong Group, hollow and broken. She thought about what he would want her to choose. 10 seconds. Amina stood. Her hands moved to smooth her blazer lapels one final time. The gesture felt like goodbye. Her voice cracked. She switched to formal Korean. I take full responsibility for everything in that ledger. Malik knew nothing. He is innocent. Amina, no, Taman started. For 10 years, I documented Hanseong Group's predatory practices, specifically the contract amendments that destroyed my father's textile company. Director Yu signed those amendments in 2015 without reviewing them, trapping my father in impossible conditions, then suing him for breach. My father, Jean-Baptiste Ndiaye, lost everything. His business, savings, dignity. Her voice grew stronger, truth pouring out like water through a broken dam. I became Director Yu's secretary to gather evidence exposing Hanseong Group's systematic exploitation of small international vendors. The ledger contains contracts, financial records, communications proving a pattern of corporate abuse spanning 15 years, affecting hundreds of families across West Africa and Southeast Asia. "This is corporate espionage," Chairman Yu snapped. "This is documentation of crimes you've been committing for decades, and I'm not finished." She pulled out her phone, tapped 3 times, and the screen changed. Her personal cloud account opened, displaying files titled with dates, company names, contract numbers. Hundreds. I uploaded everything to a secure server this morning. If I'm arrested, if I'm deported, if anything happens to my brother or family, these files automatically release to the Financial Supervisory Service, Fair Trade Commission, and every major news outlet in Korea. She met Chairman Yu's eyes. "You can destroy me, but you can't stop the truth anymore." The silence was deafening. Taemin stood slowly, pale but resolute. "She's right. My father used me to sign those documents. I was negligent and cowardly, but the strategy was his. If anyone should face consequences—" "Sit down, Taemin," Chairman Yu hissed. "No, I'm done sitting down. Done being your puppet. Amina collected that evidence because I hurt real people. And instead of making it right, you want to silence her and blame her brother." He looked at the board. "I formally request an independent audit of all international vendor contracts from the past 20 years. And I'll testify to whatever authorities Amina wants to involve." Soman's smile finally cracked. "Director Yu, you don't understand?" "I understand perfectly, Ms. Kang. I also understand you've been feeding information to my father for months in exchange for a VP promotion that will never come. He's been using you to eliminate both Amina and me so he can install someone more controllable." Somin's face went white. The boardroom erupted. Accusations, denials, the sound of an empire beginning its collapse. Amina stood in the center, her blazer perfectly smooth, her composure finally aligned with her truth. The door burst open. Malik stood there breathless, Hanseong badge missing from his backpack. "I heard what Somin was planning. I came to—" He saw Amina standing, saw the files on screen, and understanding washed across his face. "Nuna, what did you do?" "What Papa would have wanted," Amina said in Wolof, voice breaking for the first time. "Deg, mu nek deg rek." The truth. It had to be the truth. Malik crossed the room and stood beside her. "Then, let me help you tell it." And there, in the boardroom where her father's business had been destroyed a decade ago, Amina Ndiaye stopped being a weapon disguised as a secretary and became simply a daughter fighting for her father's memory. Not through revenge, but through the kind of courage that doesn't destroy, it reveals. Sometimes the endings we imagine aren't the ones we need. Sometimes justice isn't about tearing someone down, it's about forcing them to finally see what they've done and giving them no choice but to make it right. And maybe, if you've stayed with this story until the end, you understand that the hardest battles aren't the ones we fight against our enemies, but the ones we fight against the parts of ourselves that forgot why we started fighting in the first place.